and welcome to Tech presented by KaiZen, where we will explore common cleaning questions and answers. Let's get started. I would like to introduce KaiZen's own Stephen Griffith.
Thanks, William. And thanks, everybody, for joining us today for today's Tech to Tech. Today, we're going to be talking about washing printed circuit boards for remanufacturing. I had a company reach out needing a new chemistry and creating a more automated process for their printed circuit board remanufacturing. The company repairs OEM circuit boards and AC motor inverters for the synthetic fiber industry. All the inverters and the printed circuit boards have been returned to them. They've been pulled from service and returned to them for repair in varying degrees of contamination as well as functionality. So some work and some do not. The one commonality that they have is that finish oil is all over every portion of every board, and they need to clean that off before they get to the remanufacturing process. Their current process is very manual. They have a sink, and after they deconstruct the AC motor inverters and pull out all the printed circuit boards, they wash the boards with a mild soap detergent and a toothbrush. And then they take it over to a small dip tank where they have a solvent inside of it. They dip it in the solvent, let it air dry, and then they have a second tank with another solvent in it, and they dip it in that and let it air dry. And then for a fourth step, they manually blow it with compressed air. The customer is not receiving the desired results that they want with their current chemistries. It's a very manual process, and they're trying to make it more automated so they can get more throughput and be more efficient with their time and get greater reliability throughout the process. As I said earlier, they've got a lot of challenges with this current process. It's a highly manual process, lots of different soils from different customers that are on the boards from the manufacturing process, various different substrates and various oils that they're trying to clean off of those substrates. We're trying to do some circuit board cleaning as well as metal finishing. There's a lot of components and substrates that can be damaged during this process because they're coming back to be from a used state. And they're highly populated boards, which present a challenge of consistent cleaning across. And then one issue that they're having is their dip tanks are not large enough to fit some of the boards that they are actually remanufacturing. So we got some boards into our lab to do some test cleaning on. And we were given free rein over the process. We had no regulations as to the type of chemical that we used. We had no guidance as to the type of wash process to use. So we utilized one of the most common PCB cleaning units, a batch machine. And we used KYZEN's E531 to clean the boards. And we got some really, really great results. All the oils solubilized off the boards, the components cleaned up nicely, and even the solder joints were shined up. So a lot of the metal finishing portions that they wanted to clean up worked really well with E531. But after giving the results to the customer, even though they were ecstatic about the results, they ran into a couple of issues internally. The budget for a batch machine just wasn't there. Even though it would help the facility's throughput and would pay for itself over time, the facility wasn't willing to cough up the money to purchase a new batch machine. And there was also floor space, as it was a highly populated area inside the building where they would need to do this wash process. So still KaiZen's solution. E531 is a highly effective chemistry that is used in a wide range of machinery, from batch machines to ultrasonics to spray-in. And it's good for solubilizing oil as well as cleaning raw solder paste and fluxes off of boards. We were able to utilize one of our 30-gallon tanks, have them send in some new boards, and we washed it at 140 degrees at a 10% concentration for 10 minutes. And then we had a 60-minute dry time at 145 degrees. And with this, we had just as good a results as before. As you can see on the pictures on the left, they were as received. The boards are covered in spin finish oil. And on the right, you've got bright solder joints, as well as the oil's been solubilized off. Again, here's another set of pictures where you can see the spin oil and the contaminants on the board on the left. And then on the right, the boards are clean and have a consistent clean across all components. Key benefits to the new KYZEN process: lower cleaning costs. The company was changing out their wash bath, solvent wash bath every day at the end of the shift. And with our process, they're actually now getting 10+ days out of each bath. They have an improved cleanliness spec. The cleanliness of the boards after being washed in 5314 is above and beyond what they were expecting the boards to ever be cleaned to. On top of that, there's no manual cleaning. This has led them to a 60%, and that's customer stated, 60% reduction in their man hours involved inside this process, because they were able to remove the manual steps out of it. Plus, they got rid of the solvent and they got rid of the mild detergent steps, so you have a single chemical instead of 3 different chemicals. And that's KYZEN's E531. In conclusion, 5314 was successfully able to solubilize the soils on all the PCBs and gave the customer a higher cleanliness spec than what their current specifications had defined. Ultimately, this resulted in higher reliability for the customer, and they were happy all the way around, and it increased their throughput and lowered their man hours involved in the process. So, some frequently asked questions on this topic: how long will the bath last, and how do I determine my bath life? Well, that's really hard to determine, and that's completely due to your process and how much soil and contaminants are on the product that you're washing. We do this by bath analysis. We send you guys some bottles, and you can collect them once a week or however often before. It's usually 6 bottles, and you send those into our lab, and we can do a bath analysis for you. Or you can do NVR testing, or non-volatile residue testing, and that will determine your soil load inside of your bath and give you a good example of when you need to change out your chemistry. You can do this with a Mettler Toledo's HE53 analyzer. We have those inside the lab, and we do loan those out to some of our customers from time to time if needed. How do I measure concentration in an ultrasonic tank, and can I use refractometer? In a metal finishing world, oils mess with the refractometers. So we use conductivity and conductivity meters to measure the concentration. If we're just cleaning off flux and solder paste, we would be utilizing a refractometer in most cases, and referring to a refractive index chart, which we provide you guys for the chemistries. And that would let you determine the concentration. But in this case, since we are utilizing oils and we're cleaning a lot of oils off, we went back and we were utilizing conductivity through conductivity meters in this case, since we were utilizing oils, even though it was a printed circuit board application. Instead of a metal finishing, we did use the conductivity meter. How do I know my boards are clean? Well, this depends highly on your spec, and if you have a spec. And in this case, it was just visibly clean. But since we are looking at oil again, some of the tests that they could have run or could have done as a Dines test or a contact angle test to determine whether there was any oil on the boards. If we were doing PCB cleaning during an initial PCB manufacturing, we would normally be looking at using ion chromatography for that. What do I do with my used wash solution? This is going to be totally up to you and your state and local regulations, as well as the chemicals or contaminants that you're washing off of your boards or your metals. Typically, what we find is that the contaminants and soils on the boards are the problems, not the chemistries, and whether you go straight to drain or have to hazmat those baths. So you need to check with your state and local regulations and also determine your contaminants as well. Is it common to clean oil off of PCB boards? Not typically. Normally we're going after fluxes and solder pastes on printed circuit boards, but if you're talking about remanufacturing of printed circuit boards, then yes, oils need to be cleaned off the board and are often a contaminant that gets put on the board due to the manufacturing process. So in this case, you would need a good broad spectrum chemistry that's able to handle cleaning the solder paste and fluxes as well as any of the residual oils from the manufacturing process. So that concludes today's Tech to Tech. Thank you guys for joining, and I'll turn it back over to William.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you guys for watching this Tech to Tech session. If you would like to discuss this topic further or have any questions not answered during the session, please contact your local KYZEN regional manager or send an email to tech@KYZEN.com, and we will have someone follow up with you as soon as possible. To download the case study this session was based on, click the link in the description below. Do you want to have exclusive access to future content sent directly to your inbox, or do you know someone who would benefit from these sessions? If the answer is yes, just go to tech2tech.KYZEN.com and fill out the subscription form. And if you like this video, be sure to follow us on our social media platforms for more expert cleaning content.